All right, we are going to put everyone on mute and get things started. Thanks everybody for being here and have a great webinar.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. Welcome to this exciting time in our movement. Welcome to this extraordinarily important webinar on the Special Olympics World Summer Games 2023, soon to be launched in Berlin, Germany. I can't tell you how excited I am, and I know many of you are, to see our movement back on the playing field, to see our global community back together, to see the symbol and power of our athletes, again, affirming and challenging the world to create a more inclusive future. I'm Tim Shriver. I am very proud to be the chair of your International Board of Directors, and love to think of myself as the fan in chief, the person with the front row seat for the best in humanity. And that front row seat for me just brought me back from China just a few hours ago, where I was with our colleagues out there in the East Asia region, working to strengthen our unified sports movement and our community-based movement all throughout the People's Republic of China. Very successful, thanks to our team out there, and thanks to the example of our athletes and families. This webinar, in particular, interpretation is available in Spanish, French, Arabic, Russian, and Chinese. So if you were with me in China, you would know some of us need translation, and that's available on the global icon at the bottom of your Zoom application. Just select the language. If you can understand me in English, select your language, and then you'll find translation. So we're less than a month away from Berlin 2023, and I'm very excited to say you can send Berlin. We have Arab, there we go. Thanks, Arab translation for muting. You can send Berlin all over the world with the stamp. The stamp there you see, it's got elements of the logo. It was presented at the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin earlier this month. The design includes, you can see the bear, the TV tower, the heart. The torch run will be led through the Brandenburg Gate from the 14th to the 17th of June, stopping at many host towns. We'll talk a little bit more about host towns in a minute, accompanied by Special Olympics athletes and police officers, a very, what I call, unified torch run. So lots of things going on there in Germany. I also want to extend a special thanks to our friends of the games and celebrity supporters. We're going to have a whole busload of notable icons from around the world. Didier Drogba, Dirk Nowitzki, Missy Franklin, Nadia Comaneci, Bart Conner, and of course, Christian Schenk, who's with us today. We get to hear from Christian in just a few minutes. Decathlon winner. They always say that decathlon winner is the greatest single athlete alive at the time that the decathlon is won. So if you don't think your own favorite Special Olympics athlete is the greatest athlete alive, he or she probably is. But there's also Christian who will give us an example and some messages based on his experience. So let me just make a couple of quick points, just a couple of quick highlights. The Cheers for Champions campaign. I think some of you know about the Cheers for Champions campaign. Every week we're releasing a video on social media, spotlighting an athlete or a group of athletes from each of our 7 regions from around the world. It's a wonderful way to enhance the power of our movement, to be understood and captured and made powerful through story. I like to think that in the future, it's not just the best program that will win, it's not just the best staff or leadership that will win, the mindsets of the world. It is also the best story that will win the mindsets of the world. Cheers for Champions is our chance to get our stories from the grassroots, from all of you, from the extraordinary range of human exceptional brilliance that is in our movement, to get those stories up and tag them with Cheers for Champions, tag them with Unbeatable Together, and you can see the link there about things you can do to promote that. let me also make one other quick point. Before we'll get to the host town trivia, just 1 second. I just want to make this one quick point about the games. Some of you will be watching and thinking, well, I'm not going to Berlin. Why am I watching this? Oh, I don't know anybody who's going to Berlin. I mean, I've heard about people, but I wasn't selected, or my team only has one athlete, and I've got other things to worry about. I want to make this point. The games are your games, whether you go or not. The other Olympic Games are all about the event. Our games are about shining a light on the athletes who compete at the games so that they can shine a light on every athlete who competes anywhere in the world. Every athlete who's ever been involved in Special Olympics should see in themselves an example at the World Games, and every athlete who's going to the games has a responsibility, not just to do their best, not just to be brave in the attempt, not just to show the world their skill, but to point the eyes of the world back to every other athlete, volunteer, coach, family member, sponsor, staff member. Point it back to the communities from which you have come, so that those communities can be lifted up, so that those communities can have a light shown upon them, and so those communities can change and act as a leaven for inclusion around the world. So that's my pitch, so that you understand how important, at least I believe it is, that when these games are launched, each and every one of the 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 million people who are a part of our movement begin to tell the story of the games. Because by telling the story of the games, you tell the story of the movement. Okay, there's activation tools in the chat. I think that's coming up. I think Becca will put them in there. They'll have assets, language, copy, tips, tricks, hashtags, all that stuff. I hope you will see this not just as an opportunity to watch, but as an opportunity, and maybe even, I dare say, a responsibility that each of us has to promote the Berlin story wherever we are. Now, we're going to have a lot of Berlin trivia as we go along. I think we jumped ahead just a second ago to the first trivia question. The first trivia question is, how many towns from across Germany will host Special Olympics athletes, their families, and delegations as part of the host town program? The options are 255 towns, 216 towns, or 198 towns. You got to put your answers in the chat. There's not much in the way of special prizes, but you'll have the pride of knowing you got the answer right if you do. Drum roll, please, from our musical team. Oh, we don't have one. The answer is 216. 216 separate towns across the country, the extraordinary country of Germany, will be hosting international delegations before the opening ceremonies that will be held in Berlin. That's a whole story about host towns, which, thank God, you'll be happy to know I don't have the time to tell you. But suffice to say that for some people, it is the host town movement that has the greatest power to influence the shift in a national consciousness of any dimension of our organization. I'm not going to say I agree with that, but there are those who say nothing is more important than host towns, and they have a very good point to make. Now we get to meet the team that's making it all happen. It's led by the extraordinary Chief Executive Sven Albrecht. They have worked through COVID. They've worked through international tension, an international crisis. They've worked through a very, very difficult economy. They will go down as the most inclusive games organizing committee ever. We very much trust they'll deliver the best competition experience ever. And they have an extraordinary group of people. And if you think you've had stress, I'm sure you have. If you think you're exhausted, you may very well be. But speaking from experience, it's almost impossible to have more stress and to be more exhausted or as exhausted as the people who put on Special Olympics World Games. I know many of my colleagues on this call can identify with that. You get to meet today Regina Stahl. Regina oversees opening and closing ceremonies, the festivals and the cultural program. Georgia Royas, oversees all the spectator services. She's been involved in the new ticketing program and has signed up more than 700 fans in the stands groups. 23,000 almost fans in the stands will be coming out to cheer for our athletes during competition. Saurabh Mishra is here. She oversees all the volunteers. Excuse me, he oversees all the volunteers. His team has recruited 17,000 volunteers. I know there were more than that even wanted to participate, so we'll get to hear more about that. Mark Blomer is here, who oversees the most important group outside of our athletes, which is, drum roll, what's the most important group outside of our athletes? Families. Mark is doing a fantastic job working to support the over 6,000 family members who are registered. Roman Stewart is here. Roman supports the Innovative Alliance of Broadcasters who are working across all their competitive site. You know, most of the time broadcasters are trying to kill each other for stories and so on. Roman has been making it possible for an historic collaboration between broadcasters that will bring them all together. Let me hand it over to Regina, and Regina is going to give us a good sense of the extraordinary work of this powerful team. Regina, over to you.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Wonderful. I don't have a good internet. So excuse me for that. Well, let's start. I'm very glad to be here. And before I start, I would like to share a little.
Internet's not good at all.
God, I was the show caller, and that was the very first experience from my side. And 2 years later, we were in Berlin, and there we were 10,000 people in a big hall. And in 2014, they said excuse me, I need another place to go. It's impossible to speak. If you could,
Regina, maybe we should hand things over to Georgia and then you can come back when you're ready.
I'm so sorry. It's impossible to speak at the moment.
Okay.
Georgia,
are you there?
over?
Maybe we can hand it over to Georgia and Georgia can pick up on spectator services and give us an update there, and we'll come back to you, Regina. How's that?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Do we have the slides up? I can't see them at the moment.
Yes, they're up.
There we go. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Georgia. So I head up the ticketing and spectator services team. As it was said earlier, it's a very exciting time for us. It's the first time we've ticketed the competition for the summer games. So yes, a lot of excitement in the team. I'm just going to talk you through how that's working this year. If we just move through to the next slide. So we'll be selling 4 different types of tickets. So this is just for the general public. So it's not for family members, it's not for athletes, everyone who is still part of the family of the Special Olympics and who have accreditation don't need tickets. We're just talking about the general public that we're selling to. So we'll be selling tickets to the opening ceremony in the big Olympic Stadium, which Regina will tell you about. We'll be selling free tickets to the closing ceremony, which is very exciting to say has sold out, and the competition. So we'll be selling a day. You don't need to buy a ticket, for example, to see beach mitters, beach volleyball. You just buy one general ticket for that day and you can see any sport you want to see that day, because we want the general public to experience as much of the Special Olympics action as possible. They could also book a all competition pass. So that would give you access to all the sports for all the days. So it's one ticket that gets you into every sport across all the venues. And we are then offering packages. So for example, if you wanted to come to the opening ceremony and then you wanted a full competition pass, you can buy that in one ticket so you can experience all the events for a discounted price. Next slide. So which events will be ticketed and which are free? So we're not ticketing all of our sports. It was really important to us that we kept some free. So the main two big venues that we have, so the Messe cluster, that will be ticketed. So in that building, you can see we have quite a number of sports. The Olympia Park will be ticketed at those individual venues. And then the SSC, which is where we have swimming, will be ticketing that venue as well. All our other sports are either free of charge or we're not allowing the general public in to watch. So people at the Special Olympics Festival, or who want to watch sailing, or who want to watch the water sports or the golf, all of that will be free and people can move in and out without a ticket. Next slide. Here's just a little bit of information on our prices. So we've tried to keep it very cheap and affordable. As we know, there is a cost of living crisis at the moment. So we're trying to keep it affordable for all groups. So a standard ticket is €8, and then we do concessions for people such as those over 65, students, those who are living with a disability. There's a family pass, or children that are 14 years and under all receive a concession. Next slide. And then here are just our prices for the ceremony. So we have capped it at €35 for our most expensive, and that goes down to €10 for our cheapest ticket. And being a big, beautiful stadium, all tickets get a beautiful view of the venue, so no one will be missing out. And then the closing ceremony is free. And as I said, it's sold really well, so it'll be a nice full party for us at the closing ceremony that Regina can tell you more about. And on to the next slide. So if you do need to buy tickets, as I said, if you're a family member or if you're an athlete, you don't need to buy tickets. Either you will use your accreditation to get in, or we'll give you a free ticket. So this is just for people that aren't registered with us in any way. They can buy tickets at the website, they can call our hotline, or they can visit us at the venue. We'll have ticketing points at all the venues. And move through to the next slide, please. And how can you support us? So if you're not coming along, but you still want to support us, it's obviously our aim to have as many people join the games and see everything in action. The best way you can do this is through telling your friends. So especially those who are in Europe and can travel easily to the games. Share all this amazing content. You were just hearing earlier about Cheering for Champions. It's all about spreading the good news and hopefully selling as many tickets as possible so we have a big crowd for our athletes. And with that, I'm over to Regina, if you are able to talk. I think you're on mute, Regina.
So I'm very sorry about that. But I'm back again. What I wanted to tell you in advance, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much for that. I know Special Olympics for a long, long time, and I remember very well it was the opening ceremony in 2014 when the DOSB president, Mr. Bach, said to me, we are leading the way and setting an example when it comes to an inclusive event. This is more than almost 10 years ago. And today I'm happy to have real great colleagues on my side in the LOC, support from SOI and the agency for sure, for this big event. Our challenge and goal is an inclusive event. So if we no longer think or question whether there is someone with or without disability on stage, but are so carried away by what is happening on stage, by now, by the show, whatever, that this question becomes absolutely irrelevant, then we win or have won. In addition to all the other tasks of being TV friendly, meeting the needs of everyone involved, the sponsors, the partners, the family, and for sure, the delegations, we want to leave a clear footprint in Berlin and Germany when it comes to inclusion and when it comes to participation. Next slide, please. So when we speak about the timeline, you can see we start with the very first, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We start with the first delegation arriving at the Olympia Stadium. At 6:45, we have the pre-show. At in time, 8:15, we start with the parade. That's the official go for the event. And the welcome after the parade will be at 9:56, and the show ends at 10:55. That's a long time for everybody. Next slide, please. Here you can see the view from the top of the stadium to the floor. This is where all the athletes will sit. In the middle, you see the big stage. It's surrounded with water, and 2 catwalks come to the stage. Yes, thank you for the next slide. 187 delegations from all over the world will take part in the parade. The gate through which they pass is designed by a collective of Israeli artists. You can see hands forming into a heart. Each delegation has been asked to bring water from their home country in a special container or vessel. During the parade, a member of the delegation goes his own way, apart from the delegation, climbs up to the stage and pours the water into the, let's call it, river. This is a powerful image of togetherness. 190 waters combine to form the whole water. This person will be accompanied by a volunteer, that the paths do not cross, and that he will get back to his delegation again. Next slide, please. We are proud of our speaker. It's an exception that the Federal Councillor and the Federal President appear together at the event. Nevertheless, the spoken word should be kept to a minimum. That's why we speak of more than presenters rather than moderators, which are couples, prominent personalities, with or without disability, and world famous athletes with special athletes, for example, Special Olympics athletes. There is sign language interpretation, there is speak to text interpretation on the LED walls, and also 2 mascots who non-verbally accompany and support the event. Colleagues with disabilities have been involved in advance in the conception from the very early beginning, as well now in the production. Here you see a choreography, which is called Unbeatable Together. And it finds its artistic implementation. Berlin and Germany presents themselves as a diverse and colorful society. Schuhplattler will dance, singer, dancer, and many more will entertain the whole stadium. Next slide, please. What I forgot, there we will make a big entertainment with the whole stadium with clappers. We will create the sign Unbeatable Together in the whole stadium. This show part, We Are One World, is very emotional and impressive. There will be an actor who will speak a poetry slam about We Are One World, about we can only win together if we are together. 2 choirs will sing and Spanish artists will be involved too in the top of this stadium. The actor is an actor with a disability, and he created the words he will speak by himself. It's very impressive. Next slide, please. The ceremony is the highlight of the event with renowned flag bearers. The LTR torch runner will be there. They will coming down the Olympia Stadium. There will be 8 torch runners in the stadium running in one circle, handing over the torch from one to the other. And then the flame will be extinct, will be lit in the middle of the stage. The federal president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, he will speak the opening words, and that will conclude the ceremony. Next slide, please. So now we have game song and finale performing in the final hour MedCon with the game song, Are You Ready? And the dance video of that song will be developed. This is developed especially for this event, and it will be distributed in the World Wide Web in advance. So that was my goal, to say, I want to have a stadium complete dancing. Everybody has to dance. And how can we create that if we share, I hope this English word, if we share the video on the World Wide Web so everybody can dance. This will be supported by 600 dancers from the Deutscher Tanzverband. That's the goal. Birdie will perform, Blue Man with the firework will be there, and maybe one more surprise. Next slide, please. If we are talking about the closing ceremony, the athletes with their delegations and family, as well as volunteers, guests of honor, and spectators will celebrate the success and encounters of the World Games in front of the really impressive backdrop of the Brandenburg Gate. Next slide, please. A varied program will entertain the arriving delegation and guests in the pre-show. So we have 3 parts at the closing ceremony. The pre-show, this is entertainment. We are waiting that everybody is coming, that we can start in time at 8:30. The pre-show starts at 6:30. So we have round about 2 hours. We have seats provided, and we have for the delegations, otherwise standing room will be provided too. Next slide, please. This is the timeline. Again, we have the pre-show, then the official part. This takes half an hour, 30 minutes roundabout, and then the games will be closed, and we have entertainment till we end at 10 o'clock in the evening. The next slide, please. These are examples for the pre-show. Next slide, please. This is a view to the stage. Here you can see when we start in the very early beginning with the official part, all the sign bearer will appear on the stage. We have a catwalk coming through the Brandenburg Gate to the stage. And after all appeared, we have 190, 187, whatever, sign bearer on stage for a really big picture. We did it. So the official part is that the flag is taken down and presented to the next host, the Special Olympics World Winter Games, Turin, in 2025. The flames is extinguished, will be extinguished, and the games are closed. With the closing words of Timothy Shriver and Mary Davies. And afterwards, various walking acts, DJs, and for sure music will entertain. And we have, next slide, please. And this is the slide for the official part. I was too quick, I'm sorry. Next slide, please. And we end with Snap. It's really high known DJ couple and a big firework in the finale. Next slide, please. So if you ask me which 5 activities are not to be missed, it's hard for me to say. The festival takes place in 2 locations. And you, next slide, please. Thank you. And you have to be at both at least twice, I have to say. The program changes every day. That actually makes 4 activities. Next slide, please. Here you can see 2 pictures from the Neptunbrunnen and from the Messe Summer Garden. There will be the festival activities every day from the afternoon to the night, or from the early morning to the early evening. Next slide, please. And not to forget the supporting program of the cultural partner, from museum, theater, city, tours, shows, music, more than 120 events around the theme of Special Olympics, inclusion, participation from the 10th till the 25th. For example, the Special Olympics Athletes Portrait Project in the really famous Humboldt Forum. That's next to the Brandenburg Gate. That will open the cultural program. And when we are talking about the Brandenburg Gate, and I'm coming now to the end, among some events at the Brandenburg Gates, the almost legendary athlete party at the Brandenburg Gate is a must. And if you ask me why, I don't know another festival which is so great. It's simply the best. It's about celebrating together without waiting, with each other and for each other, no matter what nation, religion, how many medals people with or without disability come together and celebrate. It's a really, really special moment for the athletes and the volunteers. So thank you very much. That's all from my side. And
Thanks, Regina. We're running way behind, for better or for worse. It always happens, so it's not a terrible thing. But we're going to see if the remaining 3 members of the team can go very quickly. Mark, or I'm not sure who's going next. Sarab or Mark and Roman, I'm going to ask if you can to go. See if you can summarize your comments very quickly. We want to know as much as we can, but we're running way behind. Sarab, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks.
Yes, so today we're talking about all the selected volunteers and their anticipation towards Road to Berlin 2023. Yes, as already informed, it's a warm hello from my team. I'm the lead for volunteer program for the Berlin Games. And we are responsible to creating this amazing experience for everyone who's looking forward to be here at the Games. Right now, what you need to know is this summed up, where we are close to 16,000 volunteers successfully about to arrive here. And we have started preparations, especially at the Uniform Center. For a change, the uniforms are arriving on time, I can say that. So please look forward to some fantastic things in the welcome bag for the volunteers. To my surprise and also a good impression is our eldest volunteer is 92-year-old, and she's really looking forward to volunteering at kayaking. So we are really looking forward to meeting her. 76% of the volunteer team comprises of the host country volunteers, but they'll be joined by 38 different nationalities that form the largest team for the organizing committee. That's Team Volunteer 2023, with more than 91,000 shifts to be active for successful games delivery. We have mentioned in the next slides about what you need to know for selected volunteers, the journey so far. So right now, the role offers and shifts have been assigned to the volunteers, and the trainings are ongoing with the e-learning modules. So digitally, everyone sitting at around any part of the world can go through their general and role specific trainings, and soon everyone would be arriving to Berlin at the Uniform Distribution and Accreditation Center. That's where we are really keen on looking at and meeting every person who was so far just an application on the form for us. So can't wait to be there. Some of the slides mention about pre-games preparations for everyone who's looking forward to in Berlin, to actively accept, decline their shifts, complete their digital training, read carefully all our upcoming communications via emails, always check the volunteer dedicated section on the website. And always, we have introduced the volunteer management system for a smooth experience for all our volunteers. So always keep checking the dashboard, and yeah, just write to my team and we will be able to support you with any queries. For your games time, once you arrive to Berlin, next slide, please. Yes, please don't. It is absolute must to collect your credential and the uniform from the UDAC at the Messe, which is the main venue for the games. Refer to the volunteer handbook for all the minute details you would need to know to be able to successfully perform your duties at the work areas. Always remember to check in with us at the volunteer lounges at your respective venues. Take sufficient breaks. Yeah, just immerse yourself in this whole experience, because for us it's very important, because I say it in a way that somewhere the athletes are able to perform at their best and compete stress-free, because there are volunteers at the right place at the right time doing the right work. So this is what the volunteer contribution will be, and it will be a really meaningful experience. But not just that, as LOC, we will cater to a lot of services towards the volunteers, including the welcome bags, a lot of engagement activities, SO festivals. They can access competitions during non-shift hours, and get an opportunity to party with our athletes during the thank you party at the iconic Brandenburg Gate. Next slide, please. Some of the items that have been listed below here. So what will be the things that we would provide as an LOC for appreciation and benefits for everyone who's committing their time and efforts for us being volunteers at the World Games. And that's about it, just to keep it short and sweet. But if there's any volunteer related queries, my team is really happy to support in any way we can. And we are really, really looking forward to that first contact, and a lot of emotions and memories that are coming our way in a few weeks. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. We're looking forward to seeing you, and thank you for all your extraordinary hard work. Mark, over to you.
Yes, thanks for handing over. And volunteers are an important part of the games, but of course, as Tim already stated, families are the biggest fans and supporters of our athletes, and therefore we want, and I hope we're going to make families feel welcome to Berlin and to the games. And I'm Mark from the Family Service, and I give you a rough overview over the family program. Next slide, please. Here you can find the key dates. Yes, next slide, please. You can find the key dates, and the Welcome Center will open on the 15th of June. We heard a lot about the opening and closing ceremony, and the famous family reception will take place on the 20th in the zoo. Everyone is looking forward to that. And we have so much more prepared: family talks, cultural program, and more. Next slide, please. But I was asked, what should families know? Where do they go? And where do they get their information? And first of all, before the games, we are sending out the family handbook in all games languages. Contains all information and links to navigate through the games. And we advise all participants to download the Games app. It has amazing features like schedules, results, and links to locations. And of course, everything will be put on our website. And that's how families can prepare before the games. But what about on-site? Of course, all family are invited to come to the Welcome Center at our main venue, the Messe. And we include all information they need for this credential pickup in the 3 sources I described earlier. And most important and more personal, we have a family and honored guest lounge at every venue. We invite families to come there and ask all kinds of questions, get in contact. And our family volunteers are ready to help and support all the families. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. Thanks for listening, and I'm handing over to our media team, Roman.
Yes, thank you, Mark. So happy to join you for this webinar and give you some insights about our idea and our goals for host broadcasting and how we want to do it. So next slide, please. So when we started, we had no host broadcaster because we thought that the public German broadcasters would do it. They said no, so that's why we decided to do it of our own. And then we got a vision saying we want to change everything here in Germany concerning how is the information about what is Special Olympics and also then the awareness of Special Olympics. And that's why we build up these, let's say, ideas of pyramids, saying that we want to produce as much as possible video content from the Special Olympic World Games. And I'm talking about live production as well as non-live production, meaning clips. So this means the quantity, to have enough quantity to feed the media, which is important so that you get coverage. On the other side, we said, what about the quality? So we had to lift up the quality in terms of that we are producing state of the art, to get a little bit out of a niche, to have something which is then, as the 4th point here says also, to lift it up then to the level of international sport top events, so that we are comparable with all of the other top sport events. And the other thing is then, with what partners should we cooperate? And then we said, our media partners, they should have enough, we should have enough in terms of quantity, but also the best quality. So not all of the media in Germany for us would be the best to work with, but so we decided to have the best ones. And the big goal then is to create awareness for inclusion and for the topics of Special Olympics with many media partners, and which is new for sports, they should cooperate instead of competing against each other. Next slide, please. And this is the concept. I don't go into much details, but saying, yes, we are starting with 26 sports we are covering. We are covering 13 of these sports live, which means then a production on site the whole day in a world feed of athletic, of swimming, basketball, you name it. You see all of the sports in the column there. And also then we are producing the opening and the closing ceremony and using for all of these productions from 5 to 20 cameras. So Regina said a lot about the opening ceremony. We will do it with 20 cameras and it will look like really a big show. The second column is what should we do with the other 13 sports? We decided to do summaries in terms of we are going with 1 to 3 cameras there, and we will do a lot of finals of these other 13 sports and make editorial reports about that. So this is what we call then summaries. And the third column is then we are producing for all of our partners highlights and special reports, which will be sent out daily, 2 times daily, so that they get enough footage, so that they have enough material as well as raw material that they can create their own editorial programs of the Special Olympics World Games in Berlin. Overall, we will produce 400 hours of program. This is quite a lot. And these 400 hours will then be sent in 2 different ways into the world. The one is on the national side. You can see it on the left-hand side here. The national content distribution is done via our Media Alliance partners, as well as then everything we are producing, we are also doing a live streaming via Sport Deutschland TV, which is a media platform. So everyone in Germany can see it via this streaming platform, as well as with our partners. And in the international side, you can see ESPN is the global broadcaster, so they get everything we are producing, as well as a new one is coming in. They made agreement with ESPN, which is the ABU, especially for Europe, European Broadcasting Union, which also then feeds and also producing special content then for their members, 56 members they are having it. Our world feeds will all be without a commentary guide, and all graphics are in English, so that everyone can use it, and it's good then for especially also for the international market. Next slide, please. A few words just about the live content. Live content, we are talking about up to 11 different live world feeds per day. So world feed 1 is always our, let's say, a core world feed. This is a daily mixed highlight world feed. So it's the best of all of the different sports running simultaneously on that way, and we are producing it. And you can see then the best of it in this channel. It's an editorial mix of the simultaneously running events. You have an editorial rundown, as well as then what we call live hopping from one event to another. So meaning then half an hour at athletics, and then go to swimming, and then go back to athletics, so that you can see most of everything. And when we have no chance to do it live, then you will get it tape delayed on this channel. This channel will be on air every day from 8:55 until 9 p.m. And the other ones, which we call event world feeds, meaning then what happens at Athletic, for example, per day, we will cover it from the first race until the last race. You can see everything on these, let's say, world feed 2, so that you don't miss anything. And we're having up to 11 different world feeds running per day, and all these world feeds, event world feeds, also will be on air from 8:55 until 6 p.m. or 9 p.m., depending then on the daily schedule. And next slide, please. And what we are doing non-live, which is also important for a few partners, as I said, these editorial content formats in post-production will produce highlights. Highlights 2 times per day, which means then the 30-second, 60-second, and 90-second version of the best of, as well as a 3-minute best of. It's editorial highlights, best of all sports, which is important. Not only the live sport, but also the 13 sports where we are doing the summaries. So everything best of is in these highlights, and we will offer it in different version. It's a German version, meaning then a German voiceover and German subtitles, as well as then English voiceover. And for social media, different formats. At the moment, we are thinking about going with 3, maybe 2 formats, still decision not made, and one with music. The second column then means the summaries. As I said before, the summaries are between 90 seconds and 3 minutes. It's the summary of finals of the other 13 sports. And it's a post-production highlight of different finals which happen there in these sports. And this is a monothematic one. So it's one summary about canoeing. It's one summary about tennis. And you also get it in different version in German with subtitles, as well as in English. And also we are producing then editorial reports. This is especially from all of the non-sports program. So we heard a few things about that. So meaning then ESSO Festival and all the other stuff, Athletes Party, you will have then also editorial reports, which we offer there, as well as then doing some specials like best of, behind the scenes. This will be then also done by our team and offered to all of our media partners. Next slide, please. And you've heard something about what we have created. We call it the Media Alliance. So on the right-hand side, you see 11 logos of the most important and biggest media houses in Germany, which are famous for doing sports or doing also coverage for news and everything else. So, and we made it that they are working together. So they're not competing against each other, but they are working together. So, and we are talking now about the big public ones like RD, which is similar to CBS or ABC in the US, as well as the Zone, which is a online platform, as well as private stations like RTL or Pro7.1 or pay TV stations as well. So different ones, but the biggest one are working together. And next slide, please.
Roman, I'm sorry to jump in. It's Tim. I'm sorry to jump in. We're just running so far over. I'm going to ask if we can move on. I so appreciate the work you've done. In some ways, it's for many people on this call, it's the most important because it's their chance to be able to see and understand and watch what's going on, including every single event. But we've got to jump ahead because we've got extraordinarily important guests. So I apologize for shortening you there just a bit, but I want to thank everybody on the team, everybody at the LOC, all the people that you represent, the thousands of volunteers and staff members that you represent. But maybe the best way to thank them is to introduce Jenny Murray and Amanda Trenchard, who are preparing to go. Jenny's from Edmonton, Alberta. She's a member of the women's soccer team. She's been in Special Olympics for 11 years. And Amanda is from Fort Saskatchewan, and she's the head coach of the women's soccer team. She's been involved, she doesn't look 22, but she's been involved for 22 years. We're very grateful to both of you for joining us. Amanda, when were you appointed to be the head coach? What's that like?
Actually, I was appointed in September of last year, and it was just like, it was amazing. It was like a dream come true to be able to take these athletes along this path to compete on the world stage.
Love seeing you there in your uniform. You've been involved, I know, in the torch run also. Jenny, when did you find out that you were going to be an athlete? When you were going to Berlin?
I also found out in September.
Yeah. Was it exciting?
Yeah.
I bet you were surprised. Tell us a little bit about your preparation, gang. You've known for 8 or 9 months now that you're going to Berlin. What's it been like to prepare?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Pretty challenging. We do a lot of running, do a lot of core and soccer drills, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of core. I'm feeling my core right now, just as you're saying that. I need to work on that. What's the most exciting thing for each of you as you prepare? You've just heard these extraordinary stories about all the stuff that's going to be ready for you. What's most exciting for you?
I guess. Go ahead, Jenny.
I'm looking forward to putting on my Team Canada soccer uniform for the first time.
That big maple leaf, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amanda, what about you?
So one is, I have gone to the games a couple of times in different roles as like an official and as a torch runner. But what I'm really excited about is going with a team of athletes and just been working with them to work on their skills and that, and just want to see them showcase their abilities on the world stage. I just think it's going to be amazing.
It surely is, especially after we've heard about all that extraordinary preparation. You didn't mention ceremonies or all these things. There's so many things to be excited about. And, but I tell you right now, the most exciting thing for me is the chance that I might get, if not live on one of those great video feeds, to see you compete and to see your team compete and to know that all the preparation is worth it, to prove just how great and how powerful your sports example will be. So can you imagine, let's go to the next, thank you both very much. I'm sorry we have to go so quickly, but we're going to be way over time already. And if we don't, we've got so many other things. I'm going to skip the trivia, gang, and go right into, thank you. You can, welcome to stay on. You can make a last comment before we go, but I want to get Christian on here. Christian, decathlon. Olympics in Seoul, 1988. You hung up the pole vault, the high jump, the cleats, whatever. In it says at least in 94. I don't know. I'm sure you're still running and doing all sorts of extraordinary things with your sports ability. But you're on TV. What's drawing you to get involved in this movement? I mean, you've been in the Olympic movement. Some would say the greatest athlete in the world is the person who wins the decathlon. What's drawing you to our movement, to our athletes? You're on mute, Christian. Sorry, you're on mute. We lost you. We don't have you.
So no, can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah.
I was involved in 2002 in Hamburg, and I met the very first time Geraldine Chaplin, the daughter from Charlie Chaplin, and it was allowed for me to present together with her the Special Olympics in Hamburg, and it was unbelievable for me, especially the moment when she was dancing on the stage. Then the whole crowd of the participants wear the medals. And it was such a great sound. Everybody was laughing, dancing. And I have to say that was the reason. Afterwards, I'm a coach for the Paralympics, and I have some guys, they have the diseases, mental diseases, and so I'm involved.
So Christian, when you saw that scene, everybody laughing, dancing, what did it mean to you? What was your what changed in you, if I can put it that way?
At first, I have to say, unbelievable. Such a real warm heart beat that they are trying to concentrate during the competition, focused on the race, focused on the game, and afterwards then they are free, they are laughing. And this is so true. And especially that is the reason for me to work with you and with the Special Olympics, that I felt a little bit in a better road.
Beautiful. Thank you, Christian. So free, so true. Work hard, train hard, compete hard, and then you're so free. I love it. I love it. I might quote you, and I can't wait to be able to celebrate with you. And I know we could talk longer, but again, I apologize because just have a few minutes left. I want to shift, if I can, stay with us, Christian. But I want to shift over to Renee, who's accompanied by her mentor, Gerda, for translation. Renee, you're a member of the Special Olympics Estonia basketball team, and you'll be competing in Berlin. She's had various leadership roles within Special Olympics. She's going to be playing today for us in a pre-recorded video. But before we go to the video, I'd love to hear, Renee, you're going to World Games. What are you looking forward to the most in Berlin?
Küsib, et mida sa Berliinis kõige rohkem ootad?
No, mina tahan seda, et annan endast parima.
Since it's his first World Games, he's looking very forward to it and gonna give his best out there.
And how many years has Renee been competing?
Ja mitu aastat sa oled võistelnud eriolümpial?
10.
10 years.
10 years. And what's the favorite part about sports? What's the favorite part about playing basketball?
Mis on parim osa korvpalli juures?
Nagu ühistiimina.
The team spirit.
The team spirit. Sounds like Christian's point too. The spirit comes through the sport. Freedom, truth, team. So we're going to go then, if we can, to a video of Renee's performance. Before we do, I want to thank all of our guests. I want to thank the local organizing committee. I want to apologize to my colleague, Zara Sain, who was not able to present her slides. I hope she'll send them around with updates on our marketing and communications platform. We went very quickly through many of our guests' opportunities to present, but I hope everyone knows that as we celebrate today with anticipation, we also celebrate with enormous gratitude. There's nothing, to watch this is to be grateful to so many hundreds of thousands, millions of people around the world who create the spirit of the Special Olympics movement and who allow us to come together in a place like, extraordinary place like the Brandenburg Gate, the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, and be able to show the world just what, as Christian said, what seems to be unbelievable is actually true and possible. We'll close with Renee's performance. If we can run the video, we'll look forward to that. And tune in, everyone. The games are coming.
Hello, greetings from Estonia. My name is Gerda, and I'm here with Veronica and Renee. Veronica has been Renee's music teacher for almost 13 years, And today they will sing and play a birthday song that Veronica wrote for Rene for his birthday.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. Great thanks to everyone. I'm sorry we ran over, but only by 1 minute. Thanks to you, Renee. Beautifully played. I never heard that instrument before, but I hope maybe you'll bring one to Berlin and maybe we'll get a chance to see each other. And if not, I'll take a little, hope we get videos and we can put them up on the media distribution and make sure that everybody sees. What an extraordinary gathering of talent, of commitment, of passion, of freedom. Christian, thank you for your comments. Jenny, Amanda, the entire team from the organizing committee. We're on our way to Berlin as a movement, whether we're traveling there in person or not. We plan to celebrate with joy and with spirit and with freedom and with truth. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day or evening. See you in Berlin, one way or the other. Bye-bye.